People getting canceled, I don't pay attention to it at all. I'm not gonna lend that military operation any thoughts from me. No. No. That stuff means nothing to me. The court of public opinion means less than nothing to me. Zero. The court of public opinion is a lynch mob. And I don't take those seriously. And there's nothing anybody can do to make me. Nothing. You better have a gun. So I wouldn't worry about that. Don't be worrying about that stuff. Don't be worrying about that stuff. You don't want to be in you're thinking about other people's business. Could be real, could be fake, you have no idea. You're making an opinion, forming an opinion on completely fabricated things and mob rule. Dude, please. That's something I will never do because it's not ethical. I cannot operate against my ethics. It is impossible for me to do. I cannot do it. I'm right out of a D&D book. I have a lawful alignment, and I cannot violate it. It's not possible for me to violate it. So I'm not going to worry about anybody else's business. Why the hell would I do that? There's some serious stuff going on these days. Very serious, and it's going to lead to murder on a massive scale. It's going to lead to murder on a massive scale. Hey, you better start learning how to pray. Start learning how to pray. If I were y'all's, I would start learning how to pray. I would do more praying than worrying about other people's business or from the stuff you're getting fed from social media. You really, really better start learning how to pray. You know, I think I fit into an alignment that isn't exactly designated. I think there's chaotic and lawful in there. Chaotic lawful. Have you ever heard of chaotic lawful good? Because that's me. Forming an opinion on somebody's life or somebody's business before there's before it's irrefutably proven, it's not possible for me to do. I can try, but it bounces back. I cannot do it. Everyone's trying to get by, and you know, when there's a mob at your door, you either ignore it, or you bend over for it. There's no fighting. I mean, there's no sense being in doom mode. I totally get that. You know? I totally understand that, but look, you have to get above it. You have to listen to some Lil Wayne, and you have to get above it. Because when you're down in it, that's when you're listening to 9 Inch Nails, and you got a needle bouncing out of your arm. You're making music albums in the Charles Manson house. You know what I mean? In other words, you're in hell. You can't be in it. You cannot be in it unless you know how to swim in it. And it's something that you really don't want to know how to swim in. Well, I guess it's not so bad to learn how to swim in it. I know how to swim in it. I've learned. But it's not something that I recommend to everybody. You need to be above that sort of thing. You can't be dragged down by everything you see around you. It's easier said than done. You learn how to do it. You force yourself to do it. The only thing you can do is pray. And get above it. And not spread the doom. That's the only thing you can do. Because nothing is as it seems. Nothing. And I don't even want to really get into too much of that. I learned how to swim in that, and I learned how to articulate it in ways that are healthy. You want to be worrying about spiritual things. You cannot both be involved in the spiritual and the material simultaneously. Just as you cannot be hateful or sad and grateful at the same time. But you want to be looking for those things, and you want to make a choice. You need to make a choice about those things. You're either involved in sadness despair, rage, anger, and material concerns, or you're concerned with the spiritual and gratitude and praying and ascending and healing and love and virtue. Those are the two things. You can choose one or the other. You can't have them both at the same time. So if you boil things down, you have your work cut out for you. You have your work cut out for you. And you can bounce it, you can ping it against that standard. And it makes it very easy to have a barometer and a compass, and where you should be leading your thoughts and not the other way around. Your thoughts don't lead you, your emotions don't lead you, you lead them. That's how you make the choice. You can go with the river of the dead. Sure, you can go with the river, like a dead fish. There's a lot of people that do that. People in the truest sense of the word, just things. Not even men or women. You want to consider those things. You cannot be bad and be good at the same time. You make a choice. You can make it difficult by having moral relativism and say, well, this is relative to this is relative to everything is blurred, everything is gray. Sure, you can live like that. Sure, you can always be in hell. No, there's actually good and there's actually bad. It's either 1 or 0. There is no in between. The choice is very clear once you know the right questions. The answers mean nothing. It's the questions that have all the gravity. You ask the wrong questions, it doesn't matter what the answer is. Is it material, hateful, spiteful, wicked, emotionally charged in a negative way? Or is it spiritual and grateful and loving, etc., etc.? There's only two things, and in that there is only two things. There is only one thing. You know the right questions, and you can discern what brings you down from what brings you up. There is only one path, there is only one choice, there is only one unifying glue in all of the universe. In the book of life, there is one unifying glue, and that is the picture right there. That's why if you're going to be brought into doom or desolation, what do? It's just like when Percival frickin' talking to Dr. Jones in Last Crusade. Once that Nazi guy drunk from the wrong cup, he withered into dust. If you choose poorly, you die. When you're doomed, you're dead. You have to know these things, and it's so easy to know. And when you start to know these things, that's when you actually start reaching for sacred texts. You start reaching for them, and when you read them, you actually understand them. In theory and in ultimate practice. I'm not always frickin' smiling and laughing. You know? We're in this world. We have, you know, they gave us their minds. You know what I mean? They gave us their minds. You know what I mean? So you're always gonna have times where you wake up and you're ridiculous. Or you have nightmares where you're covered in bugs sitting on an electric chair, like last night. I mean, you're always gonna have things like that happening to your mind because they gave us their minds. It's a conscious decision whether to feed that furnace. You can feed the furnace. It's very easy to feed the furnace and watch the fire grow. The more you burn the material out of you, what you have is a holy fire. When your life is built on the collection of the material or the prerequisite of material, which we all know that
religious or just spiritual, enjoy your content, dude.
Everything can be taken from you. Look at anyone in the news or whatever. I know it's just dread. It's just to make you feel sick, but everything can be taken from you from forces unseen. And if you ever lift your finger or raise your mouth, everyone around you would laugh at you. I was just reading today, I forget where it was, some parable, where it was a conversation about how the corruption is within the man and not without. You need to let it in. You need to give it permission to corrupt you in order to be corrupted. Of course, without is a very strong force, and most people are defenseless against its onslaught. And I understand that. I totally understand that. I'll let them worry about it. Some people will always be controlled by all that from without. It's just a fact of life. It's something that cannot be fixed. Those things are choices. There's always permission. There's always karmic permission and karmic allowance. So anytime you're down or you're heavy, of course there are factors. There's the food that you eat, there's the air that you breathe, there's the water that you drink. There's also the thoughts that you let in your head, the thoughts that you allow to grow or to fester or to rot. It's mostly permission. There are some things that cannot be helped. There are big works in this world that it's not possible to escape from. It's not possible. Actually, Actually, it is. I guess if you live remotely enough, there is no good you can do in this world. How can you do anything good? The fruits of your thoughts and labor will be of the tree of death. It's hard to understand real truth unless you are familiar with real deception. But you don't want to be mired in that downwards whirlpool. But there's always a way out of that. Always. And there's always a sense of punishment. Yo, what's up, good horse? There's always a sense of an act of self-punishment when you're mired in doom or heaviness or chaos. At the root of it, a lot of times there's a deep sense of punishment. That might even be a I don't know, is that a truism? I'm not exactly sure the word for it, but that might actually be an ultimate truth. That actually might be an ultimate truth. If you're feeling heavy, you're feeling pain, it's self-punishment from something. Pain is self-punishment from what? That's not for me to know. That's for you to know. That's for you to find out. That's for you to find out. Subconscious guilt. Sure, H. Sure. Watiko, the demon. It is guilt for something. Guilt can also be imprinted into you as well through repetition and other methods. Magic. When you punish the world, you punish God. Not something you want to be guilty of. When you punish yourself, you punish the world. When you punish the world, you punish God. That's not something you want to be guilty of. You don't want to be guilty of condemning someone. You don't want to be guilty of murdering someone. You don't want to be guilty of wishing disease or harm upon someone. Those are things that condemn you. Your prison sentence, though for most people can last their entire lives, It only needs to last but a moment for you to go. It only takes a moment of suffering to pay 1,000,000 years of debt. It takes an advanced mind, an advanced soul, to clear debt in a moment. It's a very advanced thing. Who the hell wants to worry about that? Or who does? Everyone's energy is burnt up. All of your good, a good day can be burnt to the ground with one decision.